Phoenix is Rising Academy. Hey, this is Coach T, and today's topic is the bigger person. And this is in reference to being the bigger person. I'm still dealing with the aftermath of the workplace mobbing at my previous job. And I still work for the company, but I am demanding recompense, um, especially after my life was threatened. And during that whole time, and I was reflecting too, if you guys haven't caught it, please go to my playlist called Blue Phoenix Rising. I think I'm going to put it both here and Blue Phoenix Rising Productions. So I'm going to upload it in several different places. Of course, we are all keeping with this Phoenix theme for my company. So one is Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, and the other one is Phoenix Rising Academy, which is where I do my coaching and programs and workshops and you know um, motivational speaking. Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC is the video production part. So everything is pretty much in house, but there's separate departments, of course, and separate entities. And then you have Phoenix's Rising or Rising Phoenix Designs, and those are designs for the tribe that I make with my digital art. And you got products and cell phone cases, tote bags, shower curtains that you would not normally see in other businesses, but they're all spiritually based and about uplifting. So that's the common thread. And all of them, everything that I do is purify is through the chakra. And the Most High God revealed that to me in meditation one day, or actually not when I was purposely meditating, but in co-pilot. I was on autopilot. So, um, and I still get those downloads. It's weird when you become so elevated. Oh my God, and I want to show you guys this picture, but I'll probably put it in the community tab. So please, if you guys haven't gone to the community um, section on my YouTube channel, please do so. I really need you guys' help to bump up these views, to bump up my stats, because I am being, what is that called? Shadow banned. And it's not necessarily because I am of what I'm talking about, but it's more energetically because I get this on TikTok and I get this on Instagram. And first, when I started, it was okay. And then once I sensed that my stalkers were um, on me, or whatever, and kind of spying is what they do. I mean, this witchcraft stuff that people do. I mean, this esoteric, this metaphysics, this spiritual warfare, the things that the abilities and the gifts that people have, or that they use um, to get their own way is very interesting, to say the least. Well, that's why I wanted to show you guys this picture. But I may just make it another topic. Uh, yeah, I may just make it another topic of discussion for the podcast. Yeah, talking about body snatchers. And when people just don't believe me sometimes. So Phoenixes, it's like, this is because to me the reason why he was like, well, I'm an introvert, and I don't do small talk, and if you have something meaningful to say, then say it. If you don't, then it's hard for me to keep engaged with you, because I now, when I was younger, I used to people please, or kind of try and be nice, because I was so direct that people would get their boo boo feelings hurt. And I mean, I'm one of those. I get, and not all the time. Actually, I'm not going to lie and say that I was always one of those who got my feelings hurt, because I loved it when people told me the truth. Because if it's authentic, then how can I shy away from it? I would be hurt. No, I'm not saying I wouldn't have adverse reaction to what I was being told, but it was appreciated. And I feel so archaic, because I come from that time where many of us in the community could trim a hedge with our tongue, once you stepped over that line. Um, but now, once they got into that the Zionists got into that political correctness, and then they started to doing the no bullying thing. So, and they always use black people as the example of what not to do, right? Why? Because nobody wants to go through slavery or chattel slavery or Jim Crow. Nobody wants to go through that. And nobody wants to receive their comeuppance for putting others through that and benefiting from it. So, but that's a whole other topic. So let's get to it. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sunil, and I am a transformational coach for Black lesbians and trans women 30 to 50 who have survived the relationship with cluster B personalities, be they family members, co-workers, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, etc., and are ready right now to go through the steps I guide them through to break generational curses, get to know the Most High God better, and regain confidence and clarity. The best part is reconnecting with oneself. As I've said at the beginning of this channel, Phoenix's Rising Academy, my loves, when you know yourself, you know God. And right now, especially, because things are crumbling, our enemies have been revealed to us. But because many are still in slumber, we still have what used to be called house Negroes, Uncle Toms, okay, just speaking, from Black community terminology. And I've seen them, and the master, quote unquote, has changed faces, and they have that impeccable tan. And people don't want to hear that because everybody's tracing their history to, oh, I'm Spanish, or I'm Brazilian, or I'm Cuban, or and you haven't known up until this time, but now all of a sudden you feel some type of solidarity because why? As I've said before, narcissists don't. The only thing that a narcissist change, they don't change the template. It doesn't matter whether you're Black, white, First Nation, Indigenous, Mexican, Brazilian, Cuban, Italian, mixed race, BIPOC, lesbian, trans. It does not matter. Understand that. I know that a lot of times things get, when things get intense and the cognitive dissonance picks up, it's hard to stay awake 24/7. But you do cross that threshold where, as one great Black scholar and motivational speaker and teacher, peace be upon him, he's with the ancestors now, but what he said is like once those glasses change and you start seeing what is out there, you start seeing in the spiritual realms, you start hearing things that you never thought that you would hear. Your body is literally grossed out. The vibration of other people's summit. Let me give you an example. But when you start feeling, when you see from a different, when you allow yourself to raise your vibration, and it's not even allowing yourself to raise your vibration, you have broken the locks that have been put on your mind, body, soul, and spirit. You can't go back. And there's no apologies to be made. I'm not going to apologize for being put through what for surviving and thriving in some cases from what I've been experienced. And I don't think anybody else should have to either. And I'll just an example of how intense my my sensitivity now to energies has gotten is that a co-worker gave me his hat because we were doing a concert and it was cold and I didn't have any hat. I've been asking for one and nobody's giving me one because it's my punishment, by the narcissist of this company. And of course the Borg syndrome. We'll talk about that in another podcast discussion. But when he gave me this hat, he goes, "Oh, I got a whole bunch of hats." So I didn't think that he had worn them. Because now I do pay attention. I don't take drinks from people. If I do take anything from anybody, I bless it. And I wear oils and whatever in my oils and herbs, or that combination, that concoction in my hair. so that I can easily run my fingers through and dip, if you know what I mean. You know, I will have some rosemary or some basil, some thyme, some eucalyptus, you know, because you have to protect your crown. You know, I remember, so anyway, when I put on this hat, my head was burning. There's no chemicals on this hat, but it was his energy on that hat. And he is a creator, he's an entrepreneur, and he's been sharing with me, right? He's been a blessing. He's been sharing with me his ideas, his creativity, his, what he's doing. I'm not going to share it here in detail because it's his thing and I don't want anybody to steal it from him. And, nobody will. What is God's is God's, but some people can try and put monkey wrenches like they did with mine. I had somebody literally hide the paperwork from my LLC, though it's still down as an LLC. You see what I mean? I've had people sabotage, a lot of things. So anyway, but I felt his energy through that and his brain, his creativity, his crown chakra. Like total just, gosh, it was intense, man. It was intense. Because at first I was like, oh God. But it was like it was nothing wrong, right? And sometimes to Phoenix's Rising Academy, when you are under such warfare and such witchcraft, which is good when I take you guys through the 4 steps, which I'm getting ready to go through right now, to your authentic self. These are lifetime. This is an ingredient. This are 4 simple steps. It's going to seem really heavy when you first get started because you got a lot of, you got a lot to clean. You got a lot of spring. You got spring cleaning. You got winter cleaning. You got summer cleaning. You're backed up. You got to clean. And so, but this is what doing that work so you can process it. So it's really interesting. But you can't go back once you put this on, and a lot of people don't want to take this. And I noticed that the things that I talk about I'm not talking about anything different than anybody else is. But the one thing that I am different is that in my authenticity, where you can tell that I have literally gone through the steps and I've done what I'm telling you to do. Right. And I think too, a lot when people see my picture, it's like, okay, well, you're not very nurturing. No, I'm not your mammy. I'm not going to. If you're going to be, if you're looking for that kind of coach, I'm not the one. I'm not going to dress up and wear makeup and put this bright light on my face so you can feel attracted to me or whatever. I see a lot of people doing that. A lot of people will start out, as a motivational or speaker or coach or whatever. They want to share something with you, and you got to doll yourself up. Are you flipping kidding me? Let me tell you something. When you're in the coffin, you're not worried about dolling yourself up. Somebody does that for you. Understand what I'm saying. This is not a game, Phoenix's Rising Academy. And I know that if you have subscribed to my channel, I know that if you have, purchased anything from me, or if you've listened and you've commented, you relate to it. So you know it's not a game. This is literally life or death. It is something. It says something. You have to break out of the norm. You have to break out of what everybody else is doing. You have to break out of the matrix, because if you don't, you're going to die. Many are walking zombies. I said this 20 years ago that people were walking zombies. I wrote poetry about it. I wrote poetry about how much I disliked this world, not because I was wanting to unalive myself, but just because they were literally, I knew already. And I had this feeling that the more years went by, the more people would catch up with me. And I know that sounds arrogant, but it's not. It's facts. Some of us came in here with our Akashic records and our purpose already in tow. We already knew. We just didn't have the verbiage. And because we didn't have the verbiage, somebody else tried to do it for us. It's one thing just to have that energy to admit that healing. I've laid hands on people before I went to church, and people were laying hands on people. People at church would lay hands on me. I didn't feel anything. I laid hands on people. I felt a current coming from my palms. This was when I was in the hospital. I was sick, supposedly. I healed myself. from a lot of things. So anyway, here we go. So getting back to your authentic self is what these steps are going to do for you. So and again, I've said a little bit. You guys go back to some of the beginning of my podcast, the first podcast. You'll hear my story, right? Kind of fragmented. I'm also doing a kind of documentary to let you to share my story from getting up from being homeless and how that process went. So please, again, go to the YouTube playlist. I have not posted it to my TikTok, but also I am. Let me see here if I can put this up here. Go to my TikTok, Blue Phoenix Rising. Or is that it? Yeah, there you go. Blue Phoenix Rising or Blue Phoenix. Let me Blue Phoenix Rising at that's on TikTok. TikTok and IG, and then Blue Phoenix Rising Media. Okay, so that's the other one that you guys can go to, and please follow me on this because I'm just going to start posting. And again, the reason I had to ask the Most High God, like, okay, why am I? I have been working on this forever. So when it's not the sabotage, it's the me being ashamed. Hey, Ibn Malcolm, thank you. I'm sorry I missed you. Peace be upon you too. Um, but yes. So I always miss these comments because I'm into doing what I'm doing. So please go to the Blue Finish Rising Media, or at Blue Finish Rising Media, and on TikTok and IG, and then because I'll post on there too. Blue Finish Rising Media LLC is my YouTube. So go there and check this documentary out. And please, you guys, right now I am dealing with. It's so hard for me to ask for help because normally I don't receive it from humans. I receive it from the Most High, because a lot of people have hardened their hearts, and it is what it is. But if I can get at least 100 people to donate $1 to my Cash App or something, I would really appreciate it because I find myself always in this battle, you know. Um, and I shared with you guys about my job and dealing with harassment and dealing with workplace mobbing, which is another form of gang stalking, just at the job at the workplace. And I've said this before. It's what gang stalking is. What it's a sorority for cluster B personalities and their flying monkeys, and those who idolize and admire them. And these guys don't play well, and we'll talk about that because God's been revealing a lot of stuff to me, and so I just asking for your help, and I guess that's what I have to practice is asking for help because I don't have anything else. Okay, I've just transitioned. It has literally only been 6 months, and I'm still. So if you guys buy a class from me, you guys go on my Fiverr. And let me see if I got that. Yeah, I think this is this is my Fiverr, but I don't know. I was nervous creating my Fiverr, but that I was asking the Most High again, how can I, make money? And that was the answer. And so check me out on Fiverr. I think it's under Blue Phoenix something. You'll see, the picture that's up here on 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 my profile. So go check it out. I also do 60-minute sessions. Just we'll do an inventory with me. I'll do an intake with you guys, and then see what we need to work on. What it is that you want to focus on. You want to focus on goals. You want basically to help and support with dealing with transitioning fully from a cluster B or toxic relationship, right? And I'll let you guys know about that. I am not here for me personally. I will listen, but I will listen um, only enough to get data, and then we're going to go to a solution. I'm solution oriented, right? I've always been this way, and it's no cap to you guys, no shunning or anything. But we can't devil. If but when I the reason I almost it's something in it's a term in Japanese. Uh, it's a Japanese term. Heartbreak. Yeah. So heartbreak. Let's see what that is. Yeah. So anyway, when I became homeless, and finally just had to go through it, and couldn't do anything, didn't have any help, no family, no nothing, and had people, my gang stalkers were like, this is where you belong, you're scum, how dare you think that you could do whatever you wanted to us, that you had, whatever. And so I had to keep my emotional composure, because at the time, the what I felt was too great of a pain, of a loss. And it wasn't even a loss of a home, but it was that somebody had literally destroyed me for having something that I had worked for, so we all have to keep our composure. We all have to keep our emotional intelligence. So it's not that I don't want to hear what you've been going through, it's that I don't want us waiting in it, right? And plus it's nine it's what is it? It's a 120 for 60 minutes consultation, and I have to do some updating. So I was doing Squarespace. Now have moved everything to Fiverr. So, but anyway, so just to let you guys know, it's no shade to you. I care about you, but it's because I care about what you're going through, and I care because you can look in 2020 during your process, right? While you're healing, while you're growing, right? You can't sit there and wait, because if you start getting into self pity, then that lets those demonic entities in, and those, whether it's being sent to you through witchcraft or whether it's already a parasite in the atmosphere. We walk because there's death, right? There's decay. There's people who are thinking things that aren't very, nice, which is why some of us are, most of us empath. When we say we're empathic, I can hear your whole entire conversation because you're not hiding it. And even if for those witches and whatever who have come into my energy, they think, oh, we're cloaking ourselves. No, you're cloaking yourself, but then when you get too cocky and you get too comfortable, I can hear, and through I can read vibrations. Anybody can, right? If you focus, it's not something, some of us are born with it, and some of us are born with a heightened, it's a spiritual gift, and then we have to keep working at it. And so anyway, I just want to make sure that you guys are getting on your course, because we don't have time ran out, you know, um, for a lot of things. I think, for I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that time ran out. It just feels like it is, like when I see the changes that are going on, because you have the elite cluster D personalities that are already have been implementing their next phase. People are very confused, especially tarot readers who are just doing it for the money. They don't know how to read cards. They don't. That's why they always say, "Oh, I'm doing a collective reading." You don't know anything about the collective. You're not picking anything up. I mean, I'll be honest. You can't do drugs and drink and 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 pick anything up. The Most High God has had me basically do ginger and lemon to clean out whatever is in my intestinal tract or whatever, and then eat. Like I would try to eat some grass fed beef, and that was like, it was revolting to me for some reason, right? So I can't do chicken, I can't do fish. The Most High God didn't want me doing fish, because I bought a big salmon steak. I ended up cooking those for the base, which is actually good for them with their omega 3s and getting there. But then again, There's been salmon that have been bred, interbred, and the genetically modified. So it's a frankenfood now. And they said that those salmon that they're raising are cannibals, so they will eat the natural salmon. Okay, so now I can't do chicken. Now I can't do, at least salmon, and now it seems like I can't do grass-fed beef anymore, right? And so, but salads and smoothies I could do and drink all day, and along with I was like, okay, but along with the sweets too, I like my cinnamon toast crunch. Um, so I was like, I'm running out of things to eat, and being in a hotel and not having a stove, I mean, I'm running out of stuff to eat. Which I don't mind, if I can get to a farmer's market and get some fresh vegetables, do that. Because I don't even put salad dressing on my salads anymore. And I was like, gosh, and I've been doing that for 2 months, like no salad dressing, just eating the salad raw, washing it, eating it raw, buying it from the store, and I just like the taste. I like to feel the taste. I like the texture. I love it. So anyway, back to it. So let me read this one. I'm not just a coach. I'm also a survivor of gang stalking, witchcraft attacks, including death spells and sacrifices to Santa Muerte, which is the embodiment of Satan and Arim, I believe is his name. And those are your all your chakras basically. Those are the ones that attack everything. They attack. We got seven. We have more than that. We have 108. You know, but anyway, I guess chakras. So that's what they're attacking. They're attacking any type of um, connection that you have with source, which is your arsenal, your weaponry. So anyway, so having gone through that, and I've gone through narcissist, I had narcissistic abusive parents, and also dealt with more narcissistic abuse for over 10 years through the gang stalking, as I said. So, and in those 10 years, I was homeless for 3 years, and I survived only because I was willing to allow the divine Most High God to take me through these four, these 4 steps that I'm willing to take my clients through that helped me spiritually, financially, physically, and mentally to freedom. And I will say this, that my credit score, like the Most High had me working on things that were being sabotaged. Like I mean, I can't even describe to you the amount of pain from the sabotage of working. Imagine that not only are people trying to sex traffic you or unalive you while you're on the streets because you were supposed to bow down to them. This is the Northerners. This is a Mexican gang. Not only are they doing, having other people harass you and whatever because they claim that you disrespected them by setting a boundary. And, I don't know how that works in their pea brain mind, but, whatever it is what it is. But you're, you're working 60 hours a week and you're working on a documentary, you're journaling, you're taking care of your fur babies or your kids, and you're paying for to clean up your credit, and then you're creating this academy to help other people to survive gang stalking and just cluster B personalities and that whole demonic kingdom in general. And I mean, it doesn't look like much, and it's hard. The whole thing that they want to frustrate you. If I hadn't have been going through the steps, I would have just stayed in my frustration. And if I hadn't have been going through these 4 steps that I take my clients through in Rising Academy, I would probably be in prison because I would have lost my temper. So and at the time I wasn't fasting. I was just like, it's like I just understood. And just through the intuition with the Most High God, I just understood. You can't be going on because you're expending unnecessary chi, prana, life force. And that's what they want to do. They want to wear you down, but also you're getting distracted. If I get distracted with immature uh, outbursts, I get off my path. Okay, So anyway, here are the 4 steps that I did take you guys through. Reveal patterns and beliefs that have kept you in poverty in all areas of your life and not living from your authentic self. 2, heal. When trauma happens, we don't get the bigger picture, only a snippet. Understanding brings healing. Know better, do better. So from reveal, you go heal. You go and heal what was revealed because now you can see the bigger picture. And so a lot of times when I was able to see the bigger picture that was downloaded to me, I would get that aha on a core soul cosmic level. And I loved it. And that would help me into healing. That's how was able to detach from the tethers that my narcissistic psychopathic father had attached to me. Because I was blamed for a lot of things that he did because the flying monkeys and the rest of the family, toxic family members, were too afraid to take his ass out. Right? They were too afraid, so they took it out on me, and they hated me for it. Like I was really hated, right? You know, it's weird when you have people who just look at you and they can't stand the sight of you, and you have no idea why at that time, right? So, grow. Third is grow. After you do the reveal and you heal from what was revealed, you grow. As I was just saying, you release fear, guilt, and shame, and forgive others, including yourself. uh, you're no longer carrying anybody's baggage, including the stuff, the baggage that you had that was yours. But it's more important. It's really important to not carry other people's baggage. And it's so like I didn't don't have to carry my father's baggage. I don't have to carry my mother's baggage. I saw them for what they were. So I appreciated them for what they were able to do to show me and teach me whether they were conscious of it or not, especially my mother, because she had some real demons, right? And unfortunately, that was passed on to the golden child, and the golden child ended up unaliving her or insurance her. So, yeah. And then the last one we have is show. When similar situations arise, I now and you now will respond with emotional intelligence. Means that for instance, because you're going to run into narcissists. People are, well, how come I keep attracting narcissists? Because you grew. Because you grew. So instead of whining about it, just sidearm, check it at the door, and keep it moving. You know, stop complaining, you guys, about, oh, I keep running into narcissists. No, the narcissists keep running into you. It's bumper cars. You're driving in a regular car, they're driving in a toy car connected to a pole, hoping to get on your track light, hoping to get hooked, to attach themselves literally to your life path because they can't handle theirs. I have a succubus that is still in my energy. She's been crying. She's been doing a lot of drugs, especially coke and marijuana. I always smell it. I was asking the Most High God because sometimes I don't understand what's going on. And I asked the Most High God, I said, look, I said, why is it that I keep smelling this? And at first I didn't recognize it as marijuana. The marijuana that I grew up with is not the marijuana that you guys are smoking today. It's another Frankenstein. And that's why a lot of you guys, your eyes get bloodshot red. Like, because I smoked it. I smoked it in the olden days and comparatively before they started splintering it. And now it's a weapon. It's a chemical weapon. And, it is what it is. But anyway, um, I forgot what I was going to say about that. Oh, yes. So I have the succubus that's in my energy. And so I can always tell when she's in or anybody is in my energy. That because now I know what the marijuana smells like. Like it stunks to high place to high heaven, but it smells like a plant that has that same smell. And I don't. It's just was trying to look it up, and I saw the picture of a skunk plant or something that has this word skunk in it, but it's not that. It's not that. It's just I think it's either something that people spray so that their plants around their businesses don't get or the buildings or whatever don't attract birds or something like that because I smell it. But then one time this guy said he came into one of my sites and I was like, "Can you smell that?" He's like, "Smell what?" And I was like, "It smells like skunk. It smells like a sour something." sour skunkish smell. And he was like, oh, you're probably one of those, like some people can, only a few people can taste that bitterness with broccoli, or not broccoli, but oh God, Brussels sprouts, right? So it could be like that. But anyway, when somebody's coming into your sacred space, right? And so constantly having to get this person out because this person, I've become so sensitive that, and they know this, and so they're trying to transfer. When I first had rejected this person and was just like, God had showed me, okay, here, this is what this person is. She's tainted. She's not even a she. She's not even a he. She's an it. And that's not being mean. That's when you've opened yourself to so many demons because you were bitter, and all her wounds are on her. She's looking for somebody to be her Prince Charming so she could live a life of luxury, right? It's like she thought that she was something because she had married a white guy with money, the job, and he ended up cheating on her or whatever. And it's like, so she's still so bitter that she passes that on. She passes that on, you know, and she just keeps passing it on. And uh, anybody that she checks their bank account or whatever. So anyway, I forgot why I got on that. Um, but so anyway, so when situations pop up, we act in a different way, right? And so I guess I said that to say that now I can recognize, because I responded to her in a different way. I didn't try and Captain Save a Ho, or be caregiver or a people pleaser or anything with her. I listened to the Most High God, who told me to get away from her. And even though I got away from her, she is still obsessed, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's not that you are still attracting cluster B personalities. It's that they are always going to be attracted to you as long as you are on your life path, and as long as you are living from your authentic self. There's Once you've healed, once you've grown, once you've gotten to a certain point in your spiritual journey, and beyond a doubt, and only you and the Most High God can tell this, that beyond a doubt, because you can take it to me, right? But when beyond a doubt, when you walk into a room and people tremble, for no reason, that's a cluster B personality that recognizes that they have not a chance with you in the spiritual realm or in the physical realm. Doesn't mean that they won't try in the physical, because they don't want you to be near them. That's what happened to me at this job. But instead of, they were expecting me to not have emotional intelligence. They were expecting me to freak out and to lash out. So a few times I almost did. But it's playing chess, not checkers. And I left there, but for punishment, they're trying, sometimes it doesn't, they'll still try and find a way to retaliate because they want to save face. And this is when it goes in kind of into the spiritual realm, because it's that energy, right? I want you to lose, because anything that thought is a prayer. A thought is a prayer. It's an energetic emittance from our crown, from our third eye, where you know what I mean? So these guys wanted me to be homeless. They've been wanting me to be homeless. This company did not. There's people in this company and outside of it though, but they just didn't want me to work a job. But anyway, we react with emotional intelligence after we get through doing these steps. And it's not something that you're going to just do at one time. You're going to do them over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the blessing. This is free. It's free. I'm giving you skills that you can have for a lifetime. For a lifetime, Phoenix is rising. So, let me get to this off. I'll just replay these now. And if you guys need me, any, what is that called? Frequencies. There you go. That's right down there. I use these frequencies because, again, these are disembodied, fragmented spirits, right? And some of them are lust spirits. Some of them are, you broke up with me, so I'm gonna hang on to you, clean kind of spirits, right? And so the frequency is down here, it's moving, and you can guys can go to this guy's channel, and Altona 777, and I got the link like as if you guys could copy and paste it. I'm just noticing that, but if you put in Altona 777, then you'll get his channel. And because the Most High led me to that, and he has been a godsend. Like I actually, I have somebody that is in a psychosis and has gotten worse and worse and worse to the point where she's made herself sick. But I had to put those in my ear because she would literally be shadowing me, and my body would feel heavier than what it is. So anyway, let's get to this topic. Let's do the Lord's Prayer and Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. He that dwelleth in this Psalms 91, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God is in him, my God. I said that the last time. So I say goddess because what was revealed to me is that this was a hymn to Aset, or the Greeks or whoever called her Isis. This is actually for Aset. And if you read these words carefully, I know we get so fragmented, and I don't want to get I don't want to get a debate about it, but I just know what was downloaded to me, so I will say goddess instead of God. But I caught myself when I was listening to the last podcast, but that one, and I never explained that to you guys, but that's why, because the Most High was like, no, this is to Aset. Psalms 91 was partly to Aset. So, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him shall I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For she shall give her angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and shew him my salvation. Amen. And I say, all right. So, okay. I wanted to read something else too from Arabi, Shahida Arabi. Absolutely love her. And she is the self-care warrior on Instagram, and I believe or no, she's something else on TikTok, but on Instagram she's called the self-care warrior, and absolutely love her. Are you kidding? Okay, so I won't read that right now. But so anyway, being the bigger person, and this is a download that the Most High had done. Well, just to talk about it at least, not really anything specific. It's kind of like a no-brainer, when somebody tells you, and especially when you were dealing with abuse, whether it be at your job. I had my job. People say, "Oh, just walk away, just ignore it, just be the bigger person," right? And that huge, oh my gosh, sorry, I like some incense. I don't buy lighters anymore. Oh my goodness. Oh god. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. It's too damp, so I can't light the rosemary. But anyway, so when people try and tell us to be the bigger person, it's not because they believe that we're of high quality in the first place. It's because they don't want to be. That's why they use it. Like there may be a few who are like, hey, just be the bigger person. They did this, so just walk away. You know, let it roll off your back. Don't let it get to you. But here's the thing. When you know that you are dealing with a cluster B personality, you know that it's never going to go away. These demons are never going to go away. They're always going to be niggling at you to try and get a rise, to try and show people that really you're not that good because you given it's all about that dang narcissistic mood. Like they get their boo-boo feelings hurt. Like at my job, I got two people who got their boo-boo feelings hurt because they got called out and they were mad. And I'm dealing with, and I'm just going to say it because I didn't like this. I There's several things that happened this week that just really made me so mad, and I was like, "Wow, really?" And this, so I had two coworkers in my same position but working different shifts. Who one wanted to move shifts, the other one wanted to be a part of the popular crowd. She basically wanted to be because people weren't really listening to her. They weren't really talking to her, right? But in her mind, and sometimes with cluster B personalities, they will use race, they will use gender, they will use sexual orientation. They will use whatever it takes to get them out of the position that they feel that they're that is beneath them. And that's what she did, right? So and here's the thing: you're already being the bigger person by walking away from them. So and that this is where this is coming from because it's different when you're dealing with gang stalkers. It's different when you're dealing with one person who is absolutely obsessed with you or and wanting to destroy you. And when you're dealing with this on your job, these guys are trying to get you fired in a day and age, right, where you are less than a paycheck away from being homeless. You know, so and basically it sounds more when somebody's telling you be the bigger person. It sounds more of um, a warning, a warning. Because as I said this before, there's word salad and um, there's double speak with narcissists. Sorry, my blueberry smoothie was calling. Ah, there's double speak when you're dealing with narcissists. Okay, they will say one thing, but where and what we think that it should mean or it means, it doesn't mean at all. It's inverted. Their speech is pre-inverted. So be the bigger person is using common social acceptable speech and helps them to keep up that the mask when they're really saying if you don't shut up I'm going to do worse. And that's what I found. It's like this woman, literally went through my book bag, went through my uh, uh, my notebook, my binder, right? I mean, and it didn't mean she was just waiting. She was literally waiting to go through anything and to do anything to try and get something up on me. And I kept bringing it to the people, to my bosses and whatnot. And they would say, oh, well, we don't have any proof. I said, you got cameras. There's cameras right here. I put my bags where there's cameras. I would put, or put my bags where there's cameras in the front. So one of the ladies said, hey, go ahead and put it in, you got a cubby hole, go ahead and put it in the back. Okay. And this was the worst. She was the worst and sickest of them all, to be honest with you, because this was not something that she was supposed to have, that she was supposed to go down. And you could tell the people who are predisposed to it, like it's innately within them, and you can tell the people who kind of have worn themselves down. And unfortunately, a lot of Black people fall under this category. I mean, you have some who are born narcissists. They're just narcissists, you know, men and women in the Black community. Uh, and but this woman would also talk about God and her faith and her religion, and I was like, whoa, like, and you don't argue it. You don't argue it. There was a Mexican guy at the trolley, and I was I was coming back from getting some stuff for dinner, and I listened to him a little bit, and I was like, oh gosh, because I already know. It's like, no, you're not. I have, and I know people get upset when I talk about this, but I'm going to tell the truth because it could save your life. If you start having experiences, there are actual races that are narcissists. You can't unalive Black Americans and get defensive, and they're so quick to get defensive. And they say, oh, you're just coming after us because of the lithium. So in my situation, which was working with majority of Mexicans, it was, oh, you're a toxic person, or it's you're the problem. There's something wrong with you. But they could never point to what was wrong with me. And every time I pointed at, if you want to see my behavior, look at the cameras, they got silent. They didn't want to do it. You could tell they didn't want to do it. We don't want to get the proof. And it's because in my case, I was dealing with culture. I'm dealing with race, and I'm dealing with their characteristics. I'm not dealing with normal where, oh, well, if you make one of us mad because we have the Borg syndrome, right? And that is exactly what it is. That's exactly what I experienced. People who had been talking to me one day would all of a sudden shun me and not want to talk to me. I've never seen that so acutely before. Not in the Black community, not even in the white community. At least white people would speak up when one of their racist people were, and that's one thing that we have to understand, is that people who call themselves POC are rabidly racist as well. It's not because Mexico has lithium. I could give a damn about lithium. Before they discovered or it was their lithium was mentioned, I was working a job, doing very well at my job, right? And was experiencing, harassment that kept piling up, because what they believed is that we dominate and therefore we're going to do whatever we want to do. We don't care about your laws. They didn't care about workers' labor laws. They didn't care about the laws of the company. You have a guy who's having sexual relations on site. You had two other employees that were having sex on site. So I started pointing these things out, because when you lie on me, I'm going to tell the truth about you. But to, being the bigger person, when I would, and before I started reporting all this, I said, okay, I'm just going to, I had to literally, and this is what happens with cluster B personalities when you come into them, when you run into them, or they run into you, is that you will have to change up your whole life, and you've done nothing wrong. That's why another reason why they're telling you be the bigger person. Be the bigger person, shut up, you let me have control, rearrange your life, right? Like right now, I am faced with being homeless for the second time. I just got off the streets 2 years ago. 3 years ago now. I was on the streets for 3 years. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that I did wrong. I made enough money. I got enough hours. Somebody got upset who was a cluster B personality because I did not want to engage with her. I set a boundary. When you set boundaries with narcissistic sociopaths, they get upset. It's a narcissistic wound. So being the bigger person did not help and does not help. Even though I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but do not allow it to be a foothold for the devil. When we say we're the bigger person, we're playing chess, not checkers, right? And that's, when they say, okay, well, you got to be the bigger person. Well, and one lady told me, one of the account manager said, well, why are you guys arguing? I said, I'm not arguing. And she would always say, you. She was like, well, why do you have problems every 30? Because she's defending her own. She's Mexican and she's defending other Mexicans. I'm putting that out there right now. You will not get me as a coach to sugarcoat anything. Anything. Because before I was talking about toxic black masculinity and their penchant for bestiality and sex offending and, the whole 9 yards as far as that goes. And I've said before, this is not about race, but I will point out the abusers as they appear to me. I'm not going to hide it. I am not one of these, we got to stick, because they're not sticking with me. I had to email a lady. She tried to give me an ultimatum. This is HR, and so it's like, what's going on? This guy did gun fingers on me. Didn't think that I could see it, so he could have, a Mexican guy, and he's a gang member. And I'm thinking to myself, why are these guys hiring so many gang members? White supremacy has a different face. But in my situation, this may not be your situation, and that's okay. But I'm still going to speak it as just in case somebody is going through this. And I've known, because everybody at this site and at this company, this security firm, it has been black, that they have gaslit. But when I got there was a black lady who was like, no, she just lied on me. She kept telling people, this lady just lied on me. And they weren't expecting, just like the gang stalkers in Sacramento weren't expecting me to put them full blast. And to where they would say, look, they would tell people, that everybody would say, she's putting people's pictures online and stuff. Well, you did it to me. And it wasn't a tit for tat. It was, hey, this guy is a sex trafficker. And they were. This guy is a pedo. This person is a gang member. This person is a robber. This person. So the thing that upsets the cluster B personality more is with the reason why they gotta bring you down to below what they are is because they can't help that they don't have anything against you. These guys couldn't say shit. What are you gonna say? So when you're telling me to be the bigger person, it's because how does that feel? Because I usually have this like low kind of accepting, warm tone. Oh, just be the bigger person. Just be the bigger person. I was the bigger person with Olga Texador. Do you know how many times this pedo, narcissistic, sociopathic, sex trafficking, Northaniel's gang member has tried to kill me? I was the bigger person and walked away from so many people. It does when people are telling you to be the bigger person, know this. You're already the bigger person. Know that you're already the bigger person. Understand me? You're already the bigger person. I've had to check a few of these people and see the way when you come from your authentic self, that you're coming from your own power, backed up by the Most High and your soul tribe. So when they're talking to me, that I told her, I said, there's a lawsuit. So in my situation, there's clearly a lawsuit because they chose their pride over um, over choosing to do the right thing, even though it's staring them in the face. Now, if I can get those tapes subpoenaed, but here the other truth is that sometimes when they're telling you, hey, you be the bigger person, it's not about them, it's about you. I had to protect myself because these people, these creatures that I was working with, it was just a group of five or six, and you had people who were trying to knock out the door, to join the gang, you know. Um, that they were like, hey, know, this person is our target. And the guy actually said when was my last day, and the guy, because I can't take it anymore because they're now that they know that I'm leaving, they're trying to get me to leave with in humiliation, to be humiliated. And so I said I'm taking a $200 loss, right? I mean I haven't worked in a week because they were supposed to reassign me, but they chose to reassign me 2 weeks later. I had asked to be reassigned 2 weeks, I believe, prior to putting in my week notice, or after I was it a week, 2 weeks, or a week and a half before I put in my week notice. And it's amazing because when people are telling you to be the bigger person, here's one thing that I found. When people are telling you to be another more things that I found, it's complex. When people are telling you guys to be the bigger person, no, the reason why they're some of them, the toxic people, are telling you to be the bigger person is because they don't want to do anything. So it's their way of telling you do something. I literally had somebody come to me, pretend to be my friend and be on my side, but because it's a racial issue for these guys, like white people sticking with white people, if you're racist white people, oh, we're going to protect our males sticking with males, it doesn't matter what color, right? Or women sticking with women, it's like, okay, well, we're going to serve you under the bus. So basically this guy comes in and he says, well, we don't know if you don't tell us, so email such so and so and do this and do that. So I do, and I'm doing this because this started happening in December. So my case, this is just I'm just using my personal experience as an example. So I'm emailing these guys, and finally I said to this woman, who's they call an account manager, is supposed to be the supervisor over that site and over the our supervisor, right? Who's supposed to be a captain. They don't say they call people by their first names, not their last names, which is not I've in the 5-6 years that I've been a security guard, I haven't had that happen, except for here. So probably because so many people have the same last name, and I'm not being facetious. It's the truth. Um, but so so finally I tell her, it's like, you know what, I am doing your job for you, and you're not giving me. It wasn't like she was giving me updates, you know. Like I would like for people, when you do something, let's say this at your work, right? You go and you get um you file a complaint or whatever, and they're saying, okay, well, here's the progress that we're making. There is no progress update, right? So sometimes basically, I mean, oh god, it was the most childish thing that I have the situation that I've ever been in. And this is my job, this is my life, right? Again, it's going to take, I need a miracle because I don't have anything in me right now. There's nowhere for me to go. And so when people are telling you to be the bigger person, it can land you on the streets, because being the bigger person means that I got to do the job of somebody who's supposed to do the job, who's telling me to be the bigger person. Because be the bigger person also translates into there's something wrong with you because they keep everybody is coming, the flying monkeys and the narcissists are coming against you. They're telling us about you and they sound believable. See, these are people who don't want to do an investigation. I literally had this woman tell me that she did not want to do an investigation because it had already been handled by somebody else, and it wasn't handled. My situation wasn't handled. It just ended up that this person who was harassing me with everybody's knowledge, and they all knew the reason why is because she wanted my spot, so she was going to harass me and harass me and harass me, and because I reported her, and so that was a narcissistic wound. And in her country, right, she would travel back and forth from Mexico. In her country, this is what they do. We don't like you, we're going to get you fired. We don't care if you're going to be homeless. Collectively, if you're telling us about how we need to do our job, we're not going to we're going to make sure we're going to and we're going to do it in a way that you can't claim. We don't think that you can claim that we're racist because we're people of color. Good luck with that. Like, I literally heard that. I literally had. I don't know if the guy is still working for the company or not. I just know he's not on that account anymore. But you literally said, for racism. I'm thinking, but that's not you. There was favoritism. You hired you, and to make matters worse. I mean, well, worse for them. These guys who sometimes tell you to be the bigger person are also bigger person is like a whole underneath that phrase is so much more, right? There's so many different meanings to be the bigger person, depending on the inflection in the tone and the the nouns and and all that, and what is in there, what is the situation, right? So bigger person is, I want you to do my job. Bigger person is, I want you to shut up. Bigger person is, I want you to stop complaining. I want you to just be punished and take it because you're black and you're a mammy. We see you as a mammy. It's not only white people, and that's why I told you guys at the beginning, and I will say this every single time. If you really want to heal, if you really want to grow, you have to die to everything that you think that you are. Because a lot of these things that you guys are holding on to, and for stupid reasons too. I really have to say that. For stupid reasons, you guys are holding on to, oh, well, like one of these black chicks, and it was weird. Their attitudes were the weirdest. I mean, I think too, because I could feel the toxicity. I could literally feel the demonic liquid, like it was like a liquid kind of just spewing from them. Whereas the others, that's their character or lack of. That's who they are. Take it how you need it. But so be the bigger person. Like the one lady told me, just leave it alone, just leave it alone, just don't say nothing, don't say nothing. Because I said, this lady got into my purse and she moved my belongings. You're not supposed to touch somebody else's belongings, you know, in this company. So be the bigger person means be our punching bag, do our work for us. Like I was doing the work for their bosses. And then this lady sells me, doesn't, all of a sudden she's like, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I've already given you a month's worth of evidence that you said that you didn't want to do an investigation. I have you on record saying, this lady on record saying that. You see what I'm saying? So don't let be the bigger person mean that you have to be silent. Being the bigger person means that you have to be the scapegoat. Being the bigger person does not mean for us Phoenixes Rising that we have to do other people's jobs without compensation. Right now, we're going to court. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have violated me. And I normally don't do this, but I was like, no. And I had to pray about it. It's like, is this something that you want me to do? And the answer that I got is yes. So, and and we're yeah. So, don't let somebody telling you be the bigger person make you feel good, right? It's sort of like I had gang members who were, doing gun fingers and making threats. You know, I had people talking about crushing the heads of puppies because their focus had come. People who are talking about you being the bigger person is there. It's really means just take what we're dishing out to you and let us live because we're not going to change and they're not changing. This guy actually said, the so-called captain of this site said, I think he forgot that I was there, right? And one thing that you'll find, once your time with the narcissist or the cluster B personality is over, they automatically go into reset. Well, and sometimes it's automatic with, even if you're still in a relationship of some kind with them. Let's say I continue to work at that site, they would have reset because it had been 3 months. It had been over. Uh, let's see. Well, it had been 5 months, about 4.5, 5 months that I had, worked at that site. As I said, between 2 and 3 months really is when they reset, and that may just be in. I think the circumstances were that they had so many irons in the fire that they couldn't keep up with me because I'd also put them on the defensive, so their retaliation tactics couldn't take place until they were sure. Once they were sure that I was leaving, because that's what he told everybody. Like that was his focus, you know. So bigger person does not mean that you allow yourself to be trampled on Phoenix's Rising Academy. Bigger person means that you play for you. Even if somebody else says, "Oh, just be the bigger person," don't let that make you feel good. Let that be a red flag for you. Red flag, just like this Mexican guy was doing some false preaching, and I called him out on it. And he said, "Oh yeah, can I talk now? Can I talk now? Because this is America, we have freedom." And he kept saying that, and he was talking about Jesus, and I was like, okay, well, you guys really don't do Jesus anymore. You do Santa Muerte, and that's not something that I'm just pulling out of my butt. That is something that they have transitioned. Like some of them, you can't serve two masters, right? But some of them, are devoted whatevers, and Catholics or whatever. But it's grown in that country. Santa Muerte worship has grown in that country. So when you think that it's no big deal because Americans, Black Americans were unalive. Number one, because they're Black. Number two, because they were going a drug deal gone bad. But what people don't know is that there were 3 Mexican women who had gone down there to sell clothes and got off trail. They weren't going in the right direction. Then suddenly, so it was two different things, right? Two, the Black people are always going to be evil and scumbags to Mexicans and whites. Second is that when you're dealing with Mexicans or whites and they do something, whether, and this is innocent, they were going down there for the flea market. But you say somebody was going down uh, to get a tummy tuck or whatever, get some work done or whatever, and they got kidnapped. These Mexican women had the same thing happen to them. They got lost. What people don't know is that those what were they, four or five Black Americans who went down there were also lost. They weren't meant to go to that area. So that's propaganda from the Mexican government, and that's propaganda from the American government. And I'm not getting into it because of politics, but I'm getting into it because there's narcissists on different sides. They don't change the template. They just change the names and faces and scenery. You see what I'm saying? And the Mexican women, they was like, oh yeah, they're known. Now all of a sudden, people were on TikTok were coming up with um, different probable possibilities. Oh well, that place is known. I live there, and that place is known for shutting off the GPS. You know, there's something that they have there because they we know that we don't drive down there in nice cars. We don't drive down there in nice cars, and we don't drive. You know, I mean, like there's a whole bunch of stuff. But when the black people were doing it, you see what I'm saying? You know, and we got that from. We already have dealt with that. Many of us are of the generations that already dealt with white supremacy at its prime. You know, when it was um, transforming itself to that liberal. I'm liberally racist. We've already dealt with it. You know. So anyway, um, hopefully this it helps somebody. I apologize because I am just really tired. I'm tired of the BS. I'm tired of always having to fight for my life. I'm tired of always having, you know, people who believe because of their character disturbances and their demon possessions that they have a right. And I am tired of sitting back, to be honest with you. I'm tired of sitting back and not digging my foot in somebody's ass. I'm tired of it. I almost snapped this week. It does get tiring, Phoenixes. It does. You know, you get tired of being a pushover. And I was reminded too, because being the bigger person, I'll end with this. This is the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic, because a lot of times when people are telling you to be the bigger person, there's nothing wrong with being the bigger person, but you already are the bigger person. And that's why they're effing with you. Because you already are the bigger person. Olga Texador knows that she is a slimy, demonic, demented, um, narcissistic, sociopathic pervert. She knows this. Christy Valencia knows this about herself. But it has not stopped these women from trying to destroy somebody simply because they got rejected. Their sexual advances, their witchcraft, their gang membership, all of that was rejected. And they really do think that, oh, I can get you through witchcraft to submit to me. I can do some ancient spells that I don't know the repercussions. People screw with witchcraft like white people go digging for treasure and not opening shit that they don't have no idea what's on it. But the next thing you know, they're doing a retreat talking about how to get in touch with your higher self and Kundalini when you shouldn't. You just picked up something that was that just opened up a portal to the nether world, and all these demons are attached to you, and you got to feed, so you got to go and try and have classes and workshops to gather people to collect souls. So so you can so you're telling people that you can get them to their higher self. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I just really want people, because it's nothing's changed. People kept talking, oh, there's a wealth transfer, there's a wealth transfer, there's a wealth transfer. That's not the download that I was getting. I don't understand why people would be having a wealth transfer in the first place if you are already wealthy. There is nothing to be transferred. There is just something to be broken and unlocked, unleashed. That's more accurate, not transferred. The only people who are transferring wealth are from surrogate mother and father to their bastard children, and that's concerning the elite. We're watching it happen. Anytime they use black people in to anytime, we know this already, Phoenixes. Many of us do. Anytime they use black people to talk about a subject or a situation, you know, when Mexico started getting all this attention, and Mexico TikTok is monitored by people in the Asian, uh, Asiatic countries and in Mexico and the Latin countries. They don't hire black people. So they've been boosting everybody's TikToks. All this Mexican news. I've noticed that. And I noticed that anytime somebody, black people or whatever get murdered, and people see TikTok as this social justice, real news kind of thing, and it's not. It's not. I don't understand how you could even say that it is. Oh, because we're finding people. No, you're not finding people. You may be finding people because of technology. You're not using TikTok to do it. You're using TikTok to post on it. People are going and doing research outside of TikTok and then posting it to TikTok. But I've noticed that anytime somebody especially that is black has been on the live by somebody of another race, they bump up that race's profiles. I mean that because there's something, because that's why you get shadow banned. You get shadow banned when you start talking about things like the cartel or Mexico and their racism against blacks, right? And when you got these women, they'll boost up those profiles with these interracial relationships, like when the black girl went to Bumble and the Jewish guy killed her, unalived her, and he's still free. And he's still free because it goes deeper than that, right? Like I said, and I did a podcast. I don't think I did it justice, because sometimes when I get the idea, I don't do it all right away, and I think that that's kind of what helped it kind of loses its potency. And so I'm working on, as soon as the Most High is like, hey, do something on this because you've experienced this, and this is why I want you to bring this to him. I need to do it while it's hot. But that's why I said black bodies, right? And I don't know if this is, I believe it is, but even with black people, when you have black males who are unaliving black women, you know, it's hard to, and it brings it back to being the bigger person. It's hard to be the bigger person when you got to pack up all your stuff, and put it in a storage, and you already been through this. But somebody thinks that you need to go through something again because that's their story for you. Being the bigger person isn't healthy. In a nutshell, that's what I want to say. Being the bigger person is not a healthy thing. Be yourself. Be authentic to it. I just, I think the challenge for me was not being afraid to email or to talk to people and tell them my truth. Because I know anytime as a black woman I speak up and I don't do mammy bullshit, I don't allow somebody to mammify me, because so that way I'm palpable. If you find, if anybody finds threat with, one of my coworkers threatened to unalive me by shooting me in the back of the head. I had to leave that place, that site. I had already asked to be reassigned, and I was not taken seriously. There was a joke that I heard from somebody on TikTok, and several times too. It's like, well, when you go, you got to be careful. When you go down to Mexico, they're not like us. They're on their own time. They'll do whatever they want. Okay, but you're in my country, and you don't want to do things within a timely manner. You're telling me that I have to have a whole new uniform, and that it's going to take 3 to 5 business days. But you're going to block me from getting any extra days during this time. Because when I was working, there was always something open. Hey, can you stay over? Can you go here? Can you go there? You know? So sometimes being the bigger person, it's not, it's not a healthy thing, because it's basically saying don't say anything, let whatever happen just take. Basically it's a, if you keep silent you'll absorb it. I grew up with that. I mean, and let me end with this. When I had that roommate Charisse, which is who I'm talking about now, in Blue Phoenix Rising, go to that playlist if you want to go and watch it. And Charisse, every time she called the cops, she was a cop caller. I mean, God, I don't even know how many times that the cops were on at my apartment, and they kept telling me, be the bigger person, be the bigger person, be the bigger person. Just walk away, just leave it alone. Because they didn't understand who it was that I was dealing with. This was a narcissistic sociopath. I was out of her way. I was in my room. We were held hostage in that apartment. I wasn't doing anything to her, but because she would accuse me of doing stuff, they had to decide whether they were going to take me to jail or whether they were going to infantilize me or whatever, and treat me like a child and tell me, oh, just stay away from her. I'm telling you that I'm staying away from this nasty creature. You know? And they would always tell me, be the bigger person, be the bigger person, until they finally started to realize that she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But it took them, and it took them 2 weeks before I was moving out, having to sneak out. This was a lady who was mad that I was selling my own freezer, that I was selling my own tables. She was mad because I was selling my stuff. Because what she wanted was to use me as a punching bag. This was a nasty, demonic, stinky creature who was caught doing like everything. She was honing into me so much. I'm in the other room, and she's mimicking me from that place. You could feel her just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? When you ask, it's like, well, why would somebody be obsessed with you? I don't know. Ask them. You know, ask them. Being the bigger person is not healthy. Being an authentic person and standing your ground, that's what the Most High kept reminding me of. Stand your ground. I am owed for people threatening my life. I am owed, because what they do is people who stonewall. This is a group that likes to stonewall really bad. So what they'll do is, okay, if we don't say anything, if we don't look at it, it'll just go away and we don't have to deal with it. We don't have to be embarrassed. We can get on the defensive. That person becomes homeless, they can't sue us. You feel me? If that person becomes homeless, they can't sue us. So we're going to bide our time. And a lot of times the term be the bigger person is used to help them bide time. Because now you're conflicted, because it's a gaslighting term. Because now you're conflicted. Oh gosh, should I be the bigger person? Or, am I being the bigger person? I've already been the bigger, but like the prime example is living with a roommate that you are not talking to. You're in your room. I can't even buy food. I couldn't even buy food. This woman was stealing and throwing away my food because she was mad because I wasn't talking to her. So she would call the cops so she could talk to me. She would, go to court so she could talk to me. And nobody saw it, because people are used to toxicity. And whoever sounds the most believable and whoever cries the loudest and yells the loudest is usually the winner. Not those of you, because when we play chess, we don't let you know what's our moves. It's like kind of like poker too. It's a mixture of chess and poker. I'm not going to let you see on my face where I'm going and what I'm doing. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. It's probably not what you guys have heard before, but it's what the Most High put on my, just in retrospect and looking at what I've just gone through and what I'm facing now. Again, so go check out my Cash App. When you see, it's at the end of those videos for sharing my story and experience, strength, and hope of me getting off the streets. after being there on the streets from 2017 to 20 to 21. I think we went into 21, and then living in the hotel for 2 years. So 5 years, and now I haven't been here for a year, but so it's been about 5.5 years. I think if my calculations right. But I think if a hundred people can help out with $1, then I would be doing just fine, because I want to continue to bring you guys content, because it does my heart good. I have two that are here and that are always checking in and letting me know, I'm gonna support you in this or that. So if you guys can pass these videos on and give a thumbs up and a like, and share, and subscribe, ring the button and all that stuff to be notified when I'm coming back with another goodie. Because I really do. I want to be able to help and free people, and I'm not one of those sugarcoaters. I come from the spirit. I come from the esoteric. I come from from a person who people have been doing rituals trying to unalive me, not just since birth, but especially since, like I said, since 2000 and 17 to 2000 and now, till 2023. It hasn't stopped. It's let up a little bit because I'm at a distance now. So they don't have that, but it's still here. Like I said, you're always going to run into narcissists. I've been working this job for 5 months, and I have had people for the last three, you know, last 3 or 4 trying to put me under the rug. So it's like you need the skills to be able to deal with this, because it's going to get worse if you don't. All right. So anyway, Phoenix is Rising, I love you. I thank you for your support. And please check out my links in the description box. Just your guys' support is so important to me, because it helps me, just keep going, especially in times like this. So I pray that you guys are all well. And remember, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.